Okay, I just had an idea today about a thing called the information diet and thought this was worth sharing. Basically, we're all aware of our diet, our food diet, and this is a well thought about thing, a well established thing. Everyone's educated on it, but we live in the information age now, and this is new. There's not a lot of thought, study, understanding in society about the information age and the effect of going on your phone all day, going on your computer all day on, our mental health, I would say, and our psychological well-being. So the idea I've got here is there is such a thing as an information diet now, where you consume information on your gadgets and devices like all day or every day at least. Now, the way I would put it is there's like a metaphor and a comparison to food. Imagine you got up every day and you ate McDonald's crisps. You got up and straight away you snacked on crisps, and then later on you had like a McDonald's, and then you had a pizza, then you had sweets for 3 hours in a row, and then you drank Coke, and then you had a beer, and then you had a wine, and then you went to bed. Obviously, we're aware that over time that would damage your health, and you'll be in a very bad state physiologically. We don't study, and we're not aware because it's a new thing, the information diet. So, to go into this in a bit more detail, if you get up, you go straight on your phone and consume what I would call low value, sort of addictive, high dopamine kind of, information, like scrolling through TikTok or something like that. It's just varied. You're getting a bit of this, a bit of that. The content creators are not very specialized and value driven. They're just creating stuff that's entertaining, that'll get clicks. That's a bit like putting sugar in food, and creating addictive food and bad food. So if you get up straight away, you just scroll through TikTok, then you go and get about some stuff, then you have a couple of hours on YouTube, and then later on you go through Facebook and you see some bad stuff, and then you consume some bad news, and then that sort of diet, especially if it's hour after hour, is like eating McDonald's all day and crisps. But we know with the food that your health is going to be damaged over time. I don't think we know what this is going to do to our mental health and our psychological health to consume bad information all day. I've got an idea. I think it'll damage mental health. I think it's to blame for a lot of the mental health crises that we see today. People just consuming low quality information. Dopamine's just round and round. They're addicted to it. They disconnect from the people around them. They do it too much as well, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours a day. And at the end of the day, I think that it's damaging everyone's mental health if you do it too much. And long term, it probably has other damage that we don't know about yet, that we aren't fully aware of. So I can compare it to a diet, a food. It's like eating McDonald's crisps all day versus the alternative would be a healthy diet, discipline, not eating too much. And regards information, good information sources would be things like, specialist information relating to your career or interest, like peer-reviewed journals would be good information. Also, the variety of information you consume. So, like, for example, if you do a degree, you study a lot of information on a topic, but that compounds and cumulatively educates you in that area, so you become skilled. It's not just consuming a bit of information, then forgetting about it, then a bit of something else, then forgetting about it, then learning a stat, then forgetting about it. That's what this dopamine stuff is. When you're going through TikTok and Facebook, oh, look what someone's having to eat. Oh, look, I've got a stat there. Did you know that the world with the biggest landmass is this? And then it's so varied that you don't get any value from it, and you're not developing yourself as a person in a sort of structured way. But also the amount of time you spend on it, I think, is going to be sort of burning out your dopamine sort of systems and your brain, and I think it's going to lead to poor mental health, depression and all that stuff. It probably already has. Even reading this, you might think, yeah, I go on my phone too much, I'm not really happy like I used to be. Here we have it. So my thought is, we need to be more aware of a society about the information diet, and you need to have a routine just like you do with a diet. You need to wake up and say, I'm not going on my phone straight away. You wouldn't get up and eat crisps straight away, would you? I'm getting up, I'm going to go about my business, have my breakfast, and then I might spend like 15 minutes on my phone, but I'm not going to just go on TikTok. That might be just something to do as a treat on a Saturday, or a bit like, you know, your cheat days and your food. I'm going to go on something that's related to my job. I might look on a website that publishes information specific to my job, that's relevant news that I need to consume for my job. Then you go to your job and then you're actually better at it because you just read a journal or something like that. YouTube, you know, you might go on there to catch up on some interviews that are related to your work or hobby, for example, but you might do it at a certain time of day. So like you do it in your dinner hour, or you know, when you're decompressing, like just after your day, 6 till 7 or something, you might do it. Then after that, 7 till 9, you might go and play with your family or walk your dog, but you don't just go on all the time. So this type of structured information diet would probably stabilize people's mental health. Also, if you consume information that relates to what you're doing in your life, you're probably going to sort of compound your skills instead of just being like an adult person. Do you know, how many people do you see now, you know, they walk up to you and they just start spouting loads of stuff, but it's totally random to what they were spouting yesterday. Like they'll be spouting, oh, there's a protest in America about this, and then the next day you'll see them, they'll go, oh, did you know the surface of Mars is made? And you're like, what are you on about? It's because they've been watching these like random videos that are just catching the dopamine signals at the time, keeping them entertained. And what use is that to people to know all that stuff? Versus somebody who says, oh, you know, it could be anything, but I'm a lawyer, right? And you say, oh, right, I've got a problem. And they know exactly what you're on about. They've got experience. They read things relating to that. So then they're the best lawyer in the area, and they charge the highest fees, and they live in the biggest house, and they're doing really well and successful. You know, they're probably spending the same amount of time taking information as what an unemployed person is who's on TikTok all day. You know, it's just that they're consuming different stuff, and it's specialized, and it upskills them, and they're not like doing it sort of in an addictive, impulsive way. They're doing it in a structured way. You know, if we could get the hang of this and people can start being aware of the information diet, you know, I think it would help solve a lot of people's problems, both personally, you know, psychologically, mental health, but also it could specialize people's skills. A lot of the time nowadays, people are reading stuff that's like politically sort of driven, and the algorithms throw more of it, and then people get really politically, radicalized. Imagine if they got radicalized in the skills required for their job, and the algorithms threw them towards them, and they were like literally a genius in their work. The world would be a better place, you know, or even the hobby, they'd be happier. And another thing is not looking on your phone too much as well, so that you're more balanced anyway. But yeah, the information diet, an idea I had today. I'm going to share this. It's the first time I've ever heard it mentioned, you know, by anyone. I've never took this from anybody else, but I'd like to share this, and I hope more people start becoming aware of it, and then we can solve the problem nowadays, the challenge of, you know, phone use. Make it productive, not destructive. Thank you.